6.
All right.
Not a problem. Good, thank you. Did everyone get a chance to see the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any comments, questions, anything about the minutes that needs to be changed?
I don't think so.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Fantastic. I'll assign somebody to that. Committee members, sort of reports on how the things we went over at the last week. I know Tom was
So
going
I'll
to talk.
start.
to Kerry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I communicated with Kerry about what other places other than MMA that she would recommend, and she had 2 other potential recommendations. One of them is GovHR. But that is a fee-based one. She said it's a small fee. I don't know what, I mean, qualifies as small fee. I don't have an actual number, but she knows what we're looking at, so I can't believe it's all that great a number. And the other one, she said you could advertise in what's called ICMA. I don't know what that stands for. But those are the 2. She says, obviously, most people who are looking for this kind of job are going to look at MMA
Right.
by far, but the other 2 would be worth noting to cast a slightly wider, but still, significant, but still reasonable net where you're going to get qualified people as opposed to just, hey, post this on LinkedIn or Indeed, where you're not going to get that.
Right. And I did the same, and I reached out to Heather, ICMA. She recommended, and she did say Indeed. But with both ICMA and Indeed, and I'll bet GovHR, they're all, like you said, a much wider net. You're going to get people from all around New England or all around the country or all around the world for all we know. So, an issue of whether or not you want to go those routes. I mean, it probably doesn't hurt. It just means that we're going to get a lot more resumes and we're just going to have to sort a lot more out.
I'm looking at the page with the fees for GovHR if you want those. If not, no big deal.
I say it again, Matt.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the page with the fees for posting on GovHR,
Yeah. Okay.
which is $200 for a single job for 30 days, $300 for a single job for 60 days. And then there's an annual subscription too.
Okay. Well, hopefully
So, I
we
mean,
don't need an annual
For
subscription.
$3, yeah, for $300 for 60 days sounds, or even the 30 days, either one, that's certainly reasonable.
Okay. So, does somebody want to make a motion? You want to discuss it? We don't have a budget, but we could just start spending wildly and then bill it to the town.
Wait till they rein us in. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I moved that. I mean, I think ICMA, well, first, I mean, I think we should use that. It is recommended by, somebody we all respect and who was previously in the job. So,
Yeah, and both of them suggested ICMA.
so I'd recommend we use both as well as MMA. So I'd make that a motion.
Second.
Okay. I'll attribute second to somebody. Okay. So both of them. Okay.
we're gonna vote on that.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. All in favor, raise some kind of a hand.
Aye.
There you go. All right.
I
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Because the meeting's remote, are we required to do a roll call vote?
yes.
Okay. So Chris, on the motion to do gov.hr and ICMA, on that motion, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Aye for me. Peter,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Matt.
Aye.
Unanimous. Good enough. Okay. So that's Tom and my report on talking to Heather and Kerry Were there other things that people were checking in on? I have one other, but
I had one, I sent everyone a link to MMA, best
Yep.
practices in hiring a town manager.
Yep.
And there's some good resources in there, and the one thing I have only watched about half of it, to be honest with you, at this point, but, the one recommendation they strongly had was getting professional recruiters to help us in this
Yep.
process. So, I think we should seriously consider that, given the importance of this in this role. And, all of us ourselves, this isn't our primary thing, hiring town managers. This will be my first town manager that I screen. So,
I listened, thanks, Chris, for the link. I listened to the whole thing because unfortunately I had an hour ride the next day or so. And you're right, they stressed the recruiting firms. But they also said, or a screening committee. And I think they did heavily say they preferred the recruiter. But I think they were kind of making sure that the select boards had somebody between them and the applicant. So I think they also had said screening committees. I know that Bennett and Yeager, which was materials that I had available on the desk when we met last week, they're charging about $15,000 to do that search.
again, I don't think that that's a lot of money, given the importance of this
No.
role. We do studies for things that we never even proceed on for a lot more than that, so. I don't know where the budget would come from. I do think one option we do have is, considering this an emergency and asking FinCom for a budget related to these activities would be out of our reserve account is a possibility if we can't find other budgets, but I would recommend having professional help in this, is my opinion. So, just my opinion, though.
I think that echoing what everyone has said so far, that the cost is it's real money, but the cost to benefit ratio potentially is huge. Getting it wrong is far more costly.
So having not watched the asset that Chris shared, is the recommendation one of a upside or a downside? Like, is this a risk mitigation, or is this an opportunity to recruit I mean, it may not matter in the grand scheme of things, but I just want to make sure I kind of understand your sense on this.
I think it's both. I mean, they kind of said it's perhaps one of the most important decisions that a town makes, to hire, in essence, the chief executive of the town, right? Same thing happens in industry, right? This great care put on hiring the chief executive of a business. So I think that's my takeaway of it. And it's been about a week and a half since I watched it, but.
And is the expectation that a firm that we would retain for this, would they be proactively recruiting, or would they be, or would they be effectively, advising us in screening and interviewing? Obviously, it could be both, but.
That was one thing I did take away from it, Peter, that's different than what we can do otherwise. That somebody would go out and actually recruit and look for people that are ready for this job, ready to move up to this job from some other position or whatever. So that was one thing that was tempting to me, is the idea that somebody would be recruiting rather than just hoping that somebody happens to be looking at the MMA sites and we hit on it. I mean, and they did, risk management was an issue for them. I don't think it was huge. I think basically they're just talking about how big an important decision it is and that having, professional recruiters is beneficial. But again, I think that they were talking largely to a group of select board people and stressing with them some of these issues. So they also said, but get yourself a good screening committee.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I certainly see the value in proactive recruiting here. Particularly if we can, if we can scope an ideal candidate with an ideal background and say, go find this profile and pick up the phone and say, hey, ever heard of Lunenburg? Right? Like that's substantially more than hoping that somebody stumbles across a listing on any one of these websites.
So I have not seen the video yet. I apologize for not seeing it before tonight's meeting. I'll issue some just basic notes. So I don't disagree that if you got the right recruiter and they actually did recruit, you would probably wind up getting more qualified candidates to choose from. That would be the hope. But by the same logic that, hey, we should pay somebody to do this because this is an important decision, I would probably argue that then that just makes this committee not choose initially a town manager. To add another layer. Now we have to choose, well, who's a good recruiter? So then we're faced with the same scenarios. Like, if we're not the people who would be able to recruit or get people, how do we know how to get a good recruiter unless there's a town managers or us recruiter out there? So in the municipal, I mean, it's not like the private sector, which is way larger than the municipal sector, and the municipal sector in one state. So I think, there's that. I'm not against the money if it gets us what we want. I'm just questioning whether or not it would get us what we want. The second would be, that do they just cast a larger net because they'll actually be actively looking through people who have signed up with them, or will they be doing, the interviews, and what is that package price for $15,000? What is included and for how long? So that's a value judgment I would need to know. I mean, I think we could get the money from somewhere in the budget, but it does add time, and we would need a scope.
So did the thing that you guys listened to, did they specify firms that do this in Massachusetts? Like, is this something that one of us could pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody and get more specific?
They did not recommend anybody like that. What they basically said is there are firms that advertise on the MMA website, of
Okay.
which there are 5 or 6. I will tell you that when I did the first one of these, and we weren't as electronically advanced as I'm not today, of course, but we used Bennett and Yeager, and they developed that ad, they developed our profile, and they went out and did a lot of the advertising that helped us find Kerry. But I think Kerry came from the ad that we posted on MMA. And I know that the second committee, when we hired Heather, decided we weren't going to go that route because basically the idea, and you don't have to follow this, but that committee said, look, we want somebody who's Mass Municipal. So let's go with the MMA ads and see what happens. We got enough resumes. We got over 30 that we sorted through. But in the end, we didn't have a lot of candidates that we were going to present to the select board. We had the guy who was the current interim, Masiello, I think was his name. There was one other woman and Heather. So, we didn't get a large number of people that we couldn't,
Yeah.
that
So
was hard to sort out.
I understand from our last meeting that there is a bit of a time factor to this. If we want to get in MMA,
Yep.
we could do it like now.
Correct.
I think we should.
Tomorrow.
I think we should proceed with that plan, and then maybe one of us picks up the phone and talks with, Bennett and Yeager or some other firm and see what, validate what our assumptions are.
Yeah.
By the way, that $15,000 number, I'm a little bit skeptical of if it's actually proactive recruiting, because in my sector, the standard is 25% of the first year annual salary. So, if we're bracketing to that standard, it would be substantially more.
The link that Chris provided was, I think, during COVID. So it was sometime in 20, so it's 3 to 4 years old at that time. And they were saying 15 to 20. I went online and was just Googling, recruiting firms, town managers, whatever words I put in. And Bennett and Yeager came up. So 15 was the number that was on a couple of different towns. But of course, then there were things over and above that they were also being compensated for over and above their base 15, whatever it was, other costs and expenses, travel or whatever it was.
For what it's worth, I think that the people you're going to get to apply for this job are going to be attracted. Where it's located is going to be where they would look. These 3 places we're looking at, recruiter aside, is where they would look. What's going to attract them is the salary range. That's what's going to attract people, because people in this industry, if you're a town manager anywhere, I mean, unless you have a solid position and you're at the top of the town manager scale at a really wealthy community, you're looking there because you're always looking for that. You're looking for what's available. That's basically how we lost Kerry anyway. I mean, she got more money to be a finance director in Concord than to be a town manager here, and then stepstone to the town manager in Concord. Because she was looking around at the time. So
Yeah.
that's going to be, I think, a larger attractor than necessarily a recruiter. That's just my
So
own opinion.
can I suggest that we go with the 3 places that were on the original motion, and see what happens? We've got a deadline that we are up against with MMA. So if we do that, see how it's going, see if we're pleased, in, couple, 3, 4 weeks. And if it's not going well, then or sooner, we could fall back on the recruiter. In the meantime, of course, somebody can call and interview some recruiters.
Yeah, I think that's the right course.
I'm fine with that approach. Yeah.
Okay. So who wants to volunteer to interview recruiters or find a recruiter?
I can call around. I'd be happy to do
Okay. 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 All right. So going through the other committee reports, I also volunteered to reach out to Adam Costa, town council. I shared with him the Koppelman and Page booklet, and I think I forwarded to you. I hope I forwarded to you what he sent. Basically, the laws haven't changed. It was pretty well still on point. I think he had some red line comments, which I didn't get to see his red line comments.
So this is the thing that you forwarded earlier today, Tim?
I can't tell you when I did it. Sometime within the last 24, 48, yeah.
So I can screen share. I've got that document open if
Yeah.
folks want to do that.
Look at that screen sharing. This is why you're the host, man. I don't do screen sharing.
All right. So under general guidance, The comment was, I'd go so far as to say that OML prohibits communications between a quorum of the search committee or between fewer than a quorum of the committee if they purposely or inadvertently are shared with other committee members so as to collectively comprise a quorum. I have no idea what that means.
Exactly. That's lawyerese.
No,
That-
that's pretty straightforward. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just saying that we're saying that's discouraged, and he's saying it's illegal.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
okay.
he's saying.
Well, he could have said that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think we know this, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I
and
think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's standard open meeting procedure.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially since it's the first bullet and it's the first line of the first bullet that
yeah.
this applies to the search committee, the OML.
Yeah,
So there
We
go.
know. Okay. Got it.
Okay. What else you got?
All right. So pertaining to generally, the search committee may enter executive session if one or more candidates have stated that they wish their candidacy to be considered confidentially at the initial stages of the search process. His comment was the only requirement is that the chair declares that an open meeting will have a detrimental effect in obtaining qualified applicants. The law does not expressly require that for the chair to so conclude, one or more candidates must express a wish for their candidacy to be confidential.
And I think,
That's
you know,
good.
I would just tell everybody that it's going to be held confidential.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would not want to do it where it would be public for one and not for another. Like, I think it needs
No,
to be
it's
same across
yeah,
the board.
across the board. Absolutely. So that's simple enough. Yep.
Okay, pertaining to similarly candidates previously interviewed may be called back for a second interview, provided that a number of eligible candidates has not dropped to the number of candidates the search committee has indicated will be recommended as finalists to the appointing body. Comment is, just be aware that the executive session privilege shall not apply to any meeting, including meetings of a preliminary screening committee, to consider and interview applicants who have passed a prior preliminary screening.
I think that
That's-
just means second
that's
round
nebulous.
doesn't get to be executive session private.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that I think it's what the implication tries to make. I'm not sure that that is true. I mean, being the screening committee, since we don't do the hiring, there's certainly legitimate reasons for a second interview. And for the same reasons as the first interview, you know, I think it's not like it's a sieve. I'm like, okay, we're not saying that we're going to have second round of interviews. It says if applicable, but there may be reasons why you'd have one, and the people still don't want it known because they don't even know if we're going to make the cut.
So I
Right.
think that I think that the operative language in his comment here is to consider and interview applicants who have passed a prior preliminary screening.
Right.
So we're only there's only one level to this thing, right? Like well, I guess there's two. We read we read the resumes or the applications and we determine who we're going to interview, right?
Yeah.
Those interviews are in executive session.
Yeah.
The next stage is it goes to the select board, right? Like so if we need a second interview, nobody is past that stage, right?
That would be my point. That would be my, and it's true because it's not part of our formal process, because the header of step 5 has if applicable. We are not determining that we are going to interview more people in the second interview and we are definitively having a second interview. We are not saying that. That would make that comment, I think, more applicable. But in this case, we're leaving it the second interview optional in case there's things we forgot or things that came up that we didn't ask people. So we're not filtering out people and going internally to a second screening. We just haven't gotten through the first screening yet.
Okay. Now I can't be certain of my memory of this, but I think we did have a second interview with the select small number of candidates. I think we sorted through people, my memory now, with a kind of with the general type of interview. And then we had them come back and present their not a capital plan. It was not the master plan. Well, a plan, any kind of a plan. I've forgotten now which one it was. But we did actually talk to people, interview people a second time. We gave them a task and had them come back with a prepared response. So we'll have to cross that bridge as we come to it.
Yeah,
I think if this situation presents itself, we should just seek guidance.
okay.
What else you got, Pete?
This relates to the previous comment on the
Yeah.
declaration of executive session, and I think that's it. Yep, that's it.
Okay.
So the
All
rest
right.
is same as it ever was.
Yeah. Okay. So that was my task about Koppelman and Page. So we're still on that part of the agenda where we're doing our reports, if you will. The other one that I had was to reach out to PAC, which I did do. Joe said she was going to wait to do live video when the candidates are actually being interviewed in public with the select board. And she wasn't interested in having us being live in broadcast. What she said she would do, if you want it, is that she will take this recording and put it on YouTube if you feel that it has some benefit.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we discussed last time around is sort of the minimum level of
Yeah.
awareness that we can put out there that
Yep.
that we're doing this and who's involved and what we're talking about. And if PAC wants to do live recordings, they can, but I don't think.
Right.
I kind of
don't even think,
I agree with
I don't
you.
even think. I'm sorry, I don't even think we're asking PAC to play these on channel 8 is important, as long as they log them in the YouTube channel so people can find them if they want. This is not going to be making for any great TV of any kind.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
never know. We got quite a cast of characters here. Anything can happen.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's once it's in their possession, once the recording's in their possession, they can do what they want. But as a request of this board, I don't think we need them televised.
By the way, I do notice that our good friend Dave Passios is monitoring our meeting tonight, which I love. I'm glad Dave's there. He's the conscience of Lunenburg.
I will
Okay,
say that at the select board meeting last night, I did raise the idea it was under our agenda item of interim town manager, but the idea of salary came up, and I said that, we're going to go to an ad without any salary because we need to put it in right away for timing reasons, but we
Yep.
need the board to come up with what the salary can be when we get to that point of interviewing people.
I tried to warn them when I was doing my public comment, but could you hear anything that I was doing last night?
You're going in and out.
In and out, yeah, okay.
Yep.
So, I heard every word that Mandy Gilman said. I heard every word that Mr. Bowen said. I heard every word of the exchange that Michael Ray had. And then when it was my turn to speak, my internet was breaking up. Anyways,
Yep.
such is life. Any other committee member reports, things that tasks that you guys were working on that you need to report on? No? Great. Okay, so the next part of our agenda is to talk about placing the ad. Now, I forwarded you what Julie had done. We're fortunate to have Julie, um, to help us with all of this because we didn't have that either the other two times that I dealt with this. So she reviewed it, and she has, I think you all should have gotten her two attachments, one she called the clean copy. It would have to be changed because she put in salary ranges. I did respond to her and said, "Where'd you come up with that?" And she said she didn't. She just, it was just in the ad the way it came out. Anybody got any thoughts about the ad? Do you want to change it all? Are you okay with it?
Do you have that to share, Peter?
Yeah, this is the one titled Add JB Edits.
Yep.
That's the one?
Yep.
All right, let me pull it up.
And I think she had two attachments, Peter. One of them, I think she labeled as like the clean copy or something like that.
Yeah, we want to see her edits before we have the clean copy.
Oh, okay.
Um,
And I think it's,
so I have
didn't,
Add JB Edits clean version and then the one, so there's two versions. So you want they're just the difference appears to be highlights, but I'll open this and we'll see where we land. This is Add JB Edits. You want me to read it?
it should be, I think
I
it's
don't need you to read it.
probably what, I think it's probably what I handed out at the meeting last week. It's the ad that we used 7-8 years ago.
I just want to see what her edits were. If she had edits.
Yeah, so I'm using Google Docs,
so
so it's not appearing that the comments are rendering. So I may
Okay.
not have what needs to be shown here.
That's fine. So I see the highlights. So the 35 million, I think, is more like 40 million now, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the dollars that are going in and out of town hall, it's like 50 million in actuality,
Well,
if you include grant money. And the salary range is highlighted here.
Well, that's way low. Yeah. And so obviously the date too. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know what this.
So let me
the
go
salary
back to
range
the,
is
let me go back to the clean version and see if that's edited. Nope, it's not.
I haven't been able to find a difference between the two.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's basically the same that it was, Matt.
Okay. So setting aside the operating budget, which we can put in an actual figure, has a salary range been discussed by the board that will negotiate the salary?
There's no, I have not been given any approved number to put in here as a range. So I think we have to put the dreaded, commencement with experience kind of, we could, because we don't have an official number. I think that may be detrimental not to have a number, but
Tom, can we say something like from, 130,000, and or commensurate or something? Can we add a baseline number, do you think?
well, what we could say factually is that salary range is commensurate with experience. Current town manager salary is. We
Yeah.
could do that.
Incumbent salary is X.
Yeah, 160,000. So.
Hmm.
So at least
mean,
that
I
gives
just
somebody
think-
an idea about where they're starting.
Yeah, right.
I guess I'm kind of worried about rushing off with this because I'm not. I've seen a lot better job recs than what's written here. And I think someone might look at it once and
Sorry.
then kind of tune out and say, well, Lunenburg, I'm not even looking at that. So I think we have homework to do as to how to write this. I mean, I had played around even with ChatGPT writing a job rec for a town manager, and it's much more inspiring than this.
Yeah, the whole one chance to make a first impression.
Right.
Now, if we do that, though, that moves us out by effectively a month, correct?
Well, you can place an ad, excuse me, not an ad. The Beacon is their monthly publication.
Mhm.
So we will miss that deadline after tomorrow if we don't get something in tomorrow. But just posting it on their website, you can do, basically anytime. So,
Okay.
you do lose a month for the Beacon. The Beacon, well, and this is just my own personal thing. Okay. I mean, back in the day when the Beacon was a nice glossy publication that went out every month and you got it on your desk and you looked at it, if you were the town manager or finance director or whatever, that was one thing. But now it's just another electronic version. So you got to go looking for it. And so I don't know that the advertising in the Beacon is worth measurably that much more than the regular just posting for people that are looking. But
there
Yeah.
is a PDF that drops into people's email, essentially.
But
Yeah.
people who are
That's what I get. Yeah.
considering a job move. So you're not going to get this in front of people this month who aren't planning on a job move, but might go, ooh, Lunenburg, I want that. Yeah, I feel like that's actually becoming an increasingly niche group because you're talking about people who aren't following the town and the fact that we're going to have a new town manager and read the Beacon PDF and would be like, oh, Lunenburg, this changes my overall tack of what I'm anticipating doing with my career. Not that those people don't exist, but that's going to be a smaller number because people who are actively looking are going to be checking the online postings of this day. Or they are, or we probably don't want them as town manager because they're not at that level of checking online job postings.
Yeah, I think you may be over rationalizing a bit. I mean, we want to get the impressions. And what I don't know and what I don't think any of us know is is the Beacon monthly publication, what are the impressions relative to the job postings on their website? I don't think we know that. Relative to Chris's thought in terms of, do we want to take another crack at this write-up? One thought that I had was in that first paragraph, and my understanding is that this is derived from the previous listing that we had done, right?
correct.
We discussed in our last meeting that, a high priority at the time that we were hiring Heather was budgeting and finance. And based on the conversation that we had a few weeks ago, I think we all agreed that while very important, we need strong leadership and team management skills in our new hire. And it says strong leader. I'm wondering, if we were to run with this today, is this something that we would want to tweak to account for the discussion that we had a couple of weeks ago?
Well, what if you take and rearrange the paragraphs a little bit, where you go, 3, 4 down where it says the successful candidate will be a visionary, demonstrated leadership, organizational management skills, etc. That paragraph.
Pull that up.
What if you, move that up and highlighted that rather than going through how many square miles we have and that we're an open meeting form of government?
Yeah, I think that would help.
Can I just show something?
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know, can you? I couldn't.
No. It's a test of my, oh, host disabled screen sharing.
Oh,
Must be a
make
school.
you, I can make you a co-host.
So I kind of drafted my own job rec for town manager, and these are kind of the things I was thinking should be in there. And then, I think ultimately it leads you into, if we structure these 5 things properly, these maybe become the questions that each of us focus on
Hmm.
when we have the interviews.
Yep.
The other one just seemed a little bit uninspiring, I guess. I don't know.
Light on the details of kind of what we're looking for. And yeah, no, I hear you.
Okay. I will
Like the
say
first
that
one,
that,
like leadership and delegation, right?
Yeah.
Strong leadership to the town and delegating to the departments.
Yeah.
Collaboration, right? These are all qualities that we should be showing that we're looking for this, and that then we follow up during our discussions on it.
So I'm looking at some of the town manager jobs that are currently on MMA.
Yep.
And they're very similar to, the ads are kind of, for the most part, the same size and start off the same way as ours does. And the interim town manager from us is the same as well. I'm gonna try to
So
look
is it
for
an
another one.
advantage, Tom, to have something dramatically different that will catch an eye?
All I'm saying is that I'm not making an editorial judgment. I'm just saying that what we have is not, I guess to the point, it's just not uncommon.
Yep. And what we have at the moment is what was developed by Bennett and Yeager in '07. And we rolled it over when we hired Heather in 14 or whatever it was, 17. So it's basically hasn't changed because that's what they wrote. And I'm not
So the
saying that
town of
makes it good.
Sandusfield, the town of Lenox. Lenox has one paragraph, about talking about the town first. And, I think, and basically saying, oh, the town manager is appointed by and serves at the pleasure of a 5-member elected select board. It has had 4 town managers in its 30-year history, and they're all enumerated, all the powers and everything, duties are enumerated in the charter. Because I mean, in my mind, I think part of the expectation is anybody who's looking at these knows what the town manager does. I think that our charter may be slightly different than somebody else's, but for the most part, all those things on that qualities list is going to be what a town manager does. And if you have to start explaining what a town manager does, then you're probably not talking to the right people. That would be my feeling, at least.
Right. I mean, I guess we could just put a help wanted sign on the entrance to Lunenburg and, go where.
Well, except for the fact of traffic, basically that's what we're doing.
Right. Well, I don't know. I think we should be a little bit more upfront in what we expect during the interviews and lay it out and be more executive search looking than, what we did 17 years ago when newspapers were the norm for communication, not electronic media and executive search committees and stuff like that. I mean, this town is facing a lot of problems right now. We don't need, just the next town manager to kind of come along and dip their toes in. I mean, even to salary, I think we got to be offering more than the superintendent for salary. I mean,
So-
that's not for me to decide, I guess, but I think you're looking well into the 200,000 plus range for what we need to offer in this position.
as far as the ads go, Chris, I like everything you wrote there. It's wonderful. It's comprehensive. We are paying by the word. Not that we have to be limited, but that may be in part why you see more of a standard ad in many of the other towns that are looking for town managers.
I mean, how much is it a word?
You know, I've totally forgotten. I'm sorry. It's maybe available on the web if somebody wants to look. But I
Well,
just remember that I think you get like 100 words and then it's after, then they're charging you so much after that.
we're paying by the word for publishing in a PDF document and on an
I know.
online web page. I just want to make sure I understand the model here because I'm almost,
Exactly.
no, I'm not, I am actively insulted by it. Like,
Right. You are absolutely right.
You also fax it in, Matt, to the.
No, I think you have to
I-
I think you have to upload it in their little box. You got to check off, a couple other places
So-
and then you have to.
So here are a couple thoughts.
Yep.
First of all, I think from this conversation, I think that we need to put in a little bit more thought here and maybe, take some of these documents and derive or assign somebody to write something that encompasses what we want. I tend to agree with Tom more so than Chris around brevity for a posting on what is effectively a job board. But I do think that we could also refer to a more comprehensive job description or what we're looking for, which is something that we post on our own website, which would drive traffic to our website, maybe get a candidate to familiarize themselves with what we got going on and drive a little bit deeper into what we're looking for. So
And that's exactly what the town of Sandusfield did. That's what their MMA listing, exactly what you just said does. It's basically what ours is, except at the end, it says for a more comprehensive listing, go to the town's website under employment and it gives you a link to it.
Yeah, and I think that, there's where we could, possibly put some form of what Chris outlined in terms of, what our needs are and what we're looking for. And in my mind, if somebody does that, they're going to come to an interview a whole lot more prepared than having read, even our 2007 job posting, right? Like that's we want to make them aware that we have an opening and we'd like them to apply, but then we would like them to dive a little deeper if they're interested.
FYI, the ad rates for MMA Web and the Beacon together are $100 per 100 words block.
Yeah, this is,
So-
that's not going to be a delimiting factor, that's for sure.
Yeah, that I was gonna say for 30 days, but yeah, that's not a. What I like about Chris's is it feels more aggressively professional and focused than what I'm seeing from other towns. And I wonder if that could attract, if that might catch the eye of someone who is more aggressively professional. And I don't know that that's bad right now to have someone who's coming in with a driven mindset. An organized mind, I think could be very beneficial to us if they can bring those leadership qualities and everything else. So I wonder if that kind of job posting is more likely to attract that kind of candidate. But I also agree that I don't know that we're ready, but I remember now, remind me, the issue is the interim can only serve for so long. So we're really in a crunch to get a permanent. Is that correct?
Well, according to the charter, the interim can do 2-3 month stints. But if we get to 6 months and 1 day, and I'm sure there's going to be scrambling if the interim is willing to continue. I'm just gonna say, no, we don't like,
Tom, you're breaking up.
Yeah.
gotta be
I-
a situation that is potentially possible.
Well, the other thing we talked about was worrying about where we'll be in the budgeting process if our process takes too long. And I'm very concerned about that. I mean,
As am I. That's a
yeah.
big concern for me.
yeah, I mean, I liked what Peter was suggesting, is that we could post something now, and maybe we want to rearrange some of the paragraphs to make it a little more what we're looking for, and then have something posted that people can go look at on our own website. But I for one, would like to get something advertised tomorrow so that we can get our process going. And you know what? If we're not getting the quality candidates that we wanted, then we're either going to advertise a second time in a better way, or we're going to go out and hire a recruiter to get out and find somebody. But
Chris, can you put up your document again?
yeah, I mean, I liked the document. It was excellent.
Because I can't send it to everybody, to Peter, I sent you the link to, the MMA's job ads and also
they're in the
one
chat.
specific one.
Oh, that was to me. You can't send it to everybody?
Well, that's because I can't send it to everybody. I only get you and Chris,
Oh, you're kidding.
and I can't share. I tried to share my screen and that's disabled. So basically, I'm a read-only person.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
I will put it to everyone in the meeting. That's not it. All right. Doesn't even allow me to copy those links for some reason.
I
Okay.
guess I don't have a problem with MMA if it's just two sentences linking to something that is on the town website. But I think rushing into tomorrow without having a thorough review of a good posting is perhaps detrimental.
So what I would suggest we do is we get something posted that is potentially even a shorter version than the one that was emailed to us earlier, or a rearranged version. And I think it's got enough to say, we're Lunenburg, we need a town manager, the incumbent salary is this, future salary is negotiable, commensurate with experience, reach out to Tim Murphy if you're interested, right? We could also say, and go to the website for more detail. And like, I'm okay with this document that Chris just created going on our website. Like, there's nothing here that's controversial in my view that I've seen so far.
And we are meeting next Wednesday, so that as far as Chris's document, we could review that before we posted it if the group feels they need to. Otherwise, I mean, I'd be perfectly happy to post that on the website tomorrow, along with the ad being posted to MMA.
Yeah, I mean, we could also make changes in a week, like it.
Right. It's fluid.
I feel like what we put on the MMA, we want to be thoughtful about it selling the reality of Lunenburg, of not presenting, of presenting what we are, because, and try to put it in a light that is enticing. But I mean, we are, what is it, the third fastest growing town in the state? Municipality,
Really?
like, our rate of growth isn't just fast, it's astronomical compared to everywhere else right now. And I think to the right candidate, that could be appealing. And we want someone to whom at least that isn't a turnoff, because if they don't want to deal with a town that's going to be rapidly changing and have that excitement, they're not going to be a good fit here, because like it or not, that's what we are. So I wonder if we want to think a little bit about the MMA posting in the context of looking at where we are and selling that. I like Chris's job posting a lot. I think I would rather see it on the MMA, because I want to attract, I would rather attract someone to whom this kind of thought process would that really that thinks this way, and that this is appealing to. But I'm not opposed to putting it on the town website. I just want to make sure we're giving them a real good reason to click through.
Where are you at, Tom?
Yeah, no, I'm fine with, like I said, that the Peter shared that link to the one in Sandusfield, which is basically in the MMA gives a description and then says for more info, you can go to the town website, and then you can post something like Chris has here. I'm fine with that. I mean, the descriptions in the MMA have traditionally been very short. They're not full things like you might see on Ladders or LinkedIn, where they just have page and page like this. But it's enough to tell people, hey, this is interested, and if you want know more details, you can have a place to get more granular information. So if anybody gets a chance over the next couple of days to go to it, as far as the timing, I think timing sooner is better. But I certainly don't want to, I don't want to be hasty with what we're making just so it looks that we don't have our act together either. So I think there's something in between. I don't have anything to judge this on, but I have a feeling that we are not going to be hurting for candidates.
Oh, good.
But I would also say that part of you wants, if someone's not going to meet all these kind of responsibilities in kind of the leadership that we're seeking here, you almost don't want them to apply to. I mean, we want to attract the best town manager in the state. I think we need that right now. And I personally think pay needs to be commensurate with that.
Yeah, again, I'm fine with paying being commensurate. I mean, be aware that the average town salary, the town administrator or a town manager salary in Massachusetts is probably around $100,000. So now I would say that's including a lot of the smaller ones out west of the state and some smaller places. But, I got to believe, I don't know what Kerry makes, but I got to believe Concord is probably one of the highest, and she's
Yep.
probably at the 2 mark. I mean, I could probably look it up even.
Okay, so let's bring our discussion to some kind of a motion or some kind of conclusion, so that we can, or not move forward for tomorrow, one or the other.
So let's run a scenario, short of literally editing in line live tonight on a posting for the Beacon. The 2 scenarios are, we wait a week and we get the August Beacon, and at the second half.
I don't think there's another, I hate to interrupt, there's not another one till September.
Okay, so there's a 2-month delay then.
Yeah.
The other option is, given the conversation we just had, we ask Tim to do an edit on the listing that we have to include the budget number, the salary number, the employee numbers, those kinds of things, emphasize management and growth. And we get it out under Tim's discretion tomorrow. And then it refers to this document, which we post ASAP on the website, and we come back and check our work in a week.
By the way, for reference, I just looked it up because I just found Kerry's contractual agreement that was just signed this April. She's making $225,000 a year in one of the wealthiest towns in the Commonwealth.
Peter, I'm okay with your suggestion, me personally, except I'm not gonna edit it. Because I'm on Assateague Island with all of my grandchildren and children together for what may never happen again, so
Well, say hello
I'm
to the
gonna-
ponies for me.
I will. I saw,
Um,
I mean, there was a lot of them today. Yeah.
Yeah. I was down there a year or so ago.
I mean, I'll delegate it to somebody who wants to make those tweaks. And if somebody wants to send it to me, I'll, just for approvals, I'll do that if you feel it's necessary, but I don't want to be the one doing the editing.
Okay, so that begs another logistical question, which is who has the capacity to place an ad in the Beacon?
Anybody can do it. I suspect Julie can do it. I was told that Annie could do it. We have an account, the town does, so it's just a matter of going through online. You have to upload or cut and paste whatever you're going to put in for an ad into a little box that's provided, and just say, send me a bill, check off, whatever. But I suspect Julie can do that in a heartbeat. And we
Okay.
can probably delegate it in that way.
Well, do we have the final wording of what we're gonna put in it?
No,
I think the thinking was we would delegate this to somebody based on the conversation we just had and
Yeah.
run.
somebody has to have the time to do that.
I definitely don't have time for tomorrow's deadline. I mean, what do the ads look like? And I've never seen the Beacon.
That link that's in there, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
Go to the one that says town manager position open. The other link is to just all the ads, all the municipal ads in the MMA.
So my first appointment tomorrow is at 10:30, so I could potentially do this tomorrow morning.
I can't do it tomorrow, not at that
I
short
am-
notice, because I no longer work from home, so.
Oh,
I
too
am
bad.
theoretically free until about 11 tomorrow. So I could collaborate with someone or do edit and get it posted either way.
All right, so the question is, do we want to do this tomorrow? Either myself or Matt can run with this, or both of us together, or do we want to wait a week? My
I'm
preference
in
is,
favor
If
of
the
doing
only,
it tomorrow.
if the
Go ahead.
only difference is that we have a printed version as opposed to online, which we could do at any point, to me, it doesn't really much matter. A week is not gonna make a difference, and I don't know, I think anybody who's gonna look, whilst a few more people may look at the printed version, I think anybody who's looking online is gonna look periodically online anyway.
okay, so we wait.
So I don't feel strongly about doing it for tomorrow.
I'm comfortable with us waiting till next week. I don't anticipate being able to make next week's meeting, as I told y'all before, but I'm also, that's fine with me. If I have any edits that I thought were important, I could send them on to the chair to be addressed during the meeting.
Well, then you don't need to worry about getting your edits for tomorrow if you're gonna wait a week. Are you waiting a
Yes.
week on Chris's version, or you're waiting a week on the Julie's ad?
I think where we're at, Tim, is we're gonna wait a week on both.
Okay, that's fine. And the Beacon will be in September, just so we go through that. You can post all the time on the
Right.
the MMA, but as far as the Beacon and whatever value the Beacon has, they don't do another one until September.
Okay, well, they'll give us an opportunity next week
Okay.
to
All right.
have a final version that we
Yep.
can approve or
Okay.
make last edits to, for both a website PDF as well as a posting. I think that that's sort of the consensus that we agree we want to do.
Yep.
And then I will hopefully be able to come back with some feedback in terms of what a retained recruiter might entail, and we can discuss that then.
I
Okay.
will send out the document that I just showed everyone.
Yeah.
to Public records.
Thank you.
Shouldn't be a problem.
And Peter, if you talk to recruiters and you just want to, without breaking open meeting law, but you just want to tell me who you've talked to, if you want people to follow up, I'd be more than happy to have an independent conversation with them as well, just to bounce it off if that is desired.
Yeah, all right.
And
If we would
definitely call,
approach- If we would approach
definitely
their
call Bennett
services,
and Yeager. They were the ones that did this project for us in 7.
do you spell
And
that?
when I Googled, the screening committees and recruitment, they came up in several towns. So definitely, check them out.
Okay, what's the spelling on that? Jaeger?
Yeah,
Like the
Bennett is
Jägermeister?
typical Bennett. Yeager, wait, you know what? I have it, Peter. Hold on a sec. Well, I have it somewhere.
Bennett
I'll
Yarger?
send, Jaeger. It's like Yeager, something like that.
Okay.
You can't find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, if you could, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, here it is. Yarger. Yarger.
All right, Bennett Yarger. Got it.
Yarger Associates, yeah.
Yep. Okay, I found it.
And they are still in business. I checked that out as well. They're in Situate. In Situate.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right. That was good. All right.
Just a question, Tim, if I may.
Yep, sure,
To
please.
Tom. I watched Select Board last night. Were you guys gonna talk about salary ranges and that sort of thing at your next meeting?
I don't know when it was going to be placed on the agenda, to be very honest. I mean, we raised it and I said that this committee needs to start working with a number, whether it's going to be at the next meeting or the week of the 23rd, I'm not sure.
Okay, because it seemed like you were had people you were gonna be like 3 members at the next couple meetings after that, was that?
No, next week it's full. It's the 23rd that we have, that week of the 23rd, Renee and I will both be out. I'll be on vacation and she's not available that night, so. And then the next week after that, I guess Michael Ray and Caesar are not gonna be there, so.
Yeah, okay. Seems like we should push to have you guys discuss this in pretty good detail at the next meeting.
How does
I know
that
they're
happen?
talking about having a special meeting. Well, I know they're talking about having a special meeting because of all these 3-person meetings that we have ahead of us to get the interim town managers interviews done at least, and we can probably add it to the agenda of that.
Yeah. So can you take care of that, Tom?
I
Can
can-
you?
Yeah, I'll reach out to Caesar and say, can we put this on? Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and then probably like the job rec we put out, ultimately the select board position is the one who selects the candidate. They probably should agree with what it is the screening committee has for
Good
you
point.
know,
Yep.
what emphasis they're putting on, so.
Okay, so after the meeting next Wednesday, we can shoot that to them. Okay. Makes sense.
That-
Yeah,
Makes
the
sense.
problem, the
Si-
problem with that is, I don't know that they're gonna have a full board meeting until August at that point. Unless I got my math wrong.
Well, if we just say salary, I mean, if it's a salary part, you just say salary commensurate with experience, then by the time we're gonna interview them, we should have a number.
Well, you'll
And we
need the
can put it,
number.
and we can put in what the current town manager's salary is, so
Mm.
we know it's not gonna be lower than that.
This is
Peter-
to me tied into the idea of comp, and I'm just kind of curious. I'm sure we don't have actual numbers, but what's the rate of attrition from people on the high level of town government paid positions into the private sector?
Oh,
Like, I mean, is that common? Is it not at all common? It used to be that you kind of you found your lane early on and
Mm.
stayed in it, but it's a different world now. So do we lose people in this kind of role to consultancy, to the equivalent of local consultancy and lobbying, or do they stay there?
I don't have enough information to know the answer to the question, the answer. I don't even have an anecdotal answer to that question. I'm sure people go in both directions. I can tell you from looking at the applicants for the interim town manager, we've seen people go in both directions. So people's careers on their resumes have wavered either from public administration into the private sector and back, or from public in private, or private trying to get into the public. So
Okay. No, that actually even gives me something of an idea. I was just trying to get a handle on how much we are competing with the private sector as well.
understood.
Did we lose Tim?
Yep.
We don't have a vice chair. We're a committee without a leader.
This is what it'll be like. This is what it'll be like if we don't get an interim by August 4th. So-
All right. Well, as meeting host, I will assume the gavel. But I don't have the agenda in front of me now, so I need to. Are we basically there?
I think we needed the ad decision, which we did.
Yep.
I don't have it in front of me either.
I'm trying to find it.
Getting to it here. Yeah.
By the way, it's very interesting that many of the town manager salaries that are in towns are actually higher than they are in cities. So
that
for
right?
those, yeah, it's not like in Canton, the
Cities
salary
have a
is
mayor though, right?
$130,000 or something.
But they have a mayor.
Whereas,
Yeah.
well, just say, well, yeah, so this is town manager, so I guess they have a town manager too. Or city manager.
All right. So, item 6 is comments, concerns from committee, and then public comment, and then adjournment. So, any other concerns from the committee?
Yeah, can we make it to the next meeting?
Yeah, we gotta all get in our cars and drive to the center of town. Any public comment from the public? Okay, hearing none, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
Okay. Roll call, Mr. Menard,
I,
Mr. Alonso,
aye,
Mr. Brenner,
aye.
Aye.
and an aye for myself. We are adjourned, and we will see you all shortly.
You got
Our
it.
next meeting is at Ritter. Is that correct?
Ritter.
Okay, perfect. See y'all there.
Yep.